Welcome back. Well, he's known worldwide as an upper-class English action hero, whether playing Simon Templar in The Saint or Lord Brett Sinclair in The Persuaders. He first gained world fame, of course, on television, then cinema, and then most notably of all, I suppose, his seven, count it, seven, James Bond movies, which took Roger Moore to instant recognition everywhere. Now he's using that celebrity as UNICEF goodwill ambassador. And he's with me now, and congratulations on the success of this, Roger.
Well, thank you.
In paperback form now, Roger Moore, My Word is My Bond.
It's
nudge,
true,
nudge.
Trud. It is my word.
Quite a bit about Tony Curtis in here in the book, and that was The Persuaders, of course, wasn't it?
Yes, the Persuaders came up. You know, with I really didn't want to do another television series, but Lou called and said, "You've got to do it." And he just got the Queen's Award for Industry.
Oh yes, Lou Grade. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, but he said, I've sold it." He said, "You've got to think. You've got to do it because the country needs the money. You've got to think of your Queen." Very persuasive. He stuck a cigar in my mouth, and then he said, "No, you can have Tony Curtis, you can have Glenn Ford, you can have Rock Hudson." I said, "Well, I think Rock Hudson and I, similar tall types, even featured. Glenn I worked with, and I think would not be happy on a long series, probably with me. But Tony is a brilliant, brilliant comedian, absolutely wonderful and a good actor, fine actor. He'd be terrific." So Lou said, "Right, you, Bob Baker, my partner, and Terry Nation, the story editor, have to go over and meet with Tony and explain the plots, etc., how we're going to develop the character." He said, "But whatever you do not smoke. Tony is the spokesperson in America, anti-smoking on television. No smoking with Tony." So I said, "Okay, fine, Lou, that's great." 2 hours we're sitting talking with Tony, and I can see that Bob is sort of fumbling for his pipe, and Terry Nation is dying. And I smoked cigarettes in those days. It was 1970, 71. Disgracefully I did, I smoked. And I said, "Tony, I'm sorry, but Lou said we shouldn't smoke, but I know that Bob wants to light his pipe and Terry needs a cigarette, and quite frankly, I'd like one too." "Leslie," he said, Leslie was his wife, "where's that ashtray we had? Where's that ashtray we had?" 2 months later, he arrives at Heathrow Airport with a packet of marijuana in his pocket. And this is the note. Bob Hope was doing all sorts of gags about him. Sort of, Tony Curtis is still flying around London, waiting to land 3 months later.
And you said the other day, when you were speaking at the National Film Theatre, that you never used the words as James Bond, the famous words "shaken, not stirred."
No, that was one of the things that Guy Hamilton said. "I don't think we should use anything that Sean is really associated with." But that's fine. But then I started getting worried about "My name's Bond," and I thought it's going to come out as "My name's Bond, James Bond."
Very good impression. Very good.
Oh, thank you.
Rory Bremner, eat your heart out. Yeah. Did you have a favourite in the 7 Bond films that you did?
The one I liked best doing was The Spy Who Loved Me, with Louis Gilbert directing, who is a wonderful, wonderful director and a funny, funny man. We have exactly the same sense of humour.
How did you find getting on with Grace Jones when you acted with her?
That's marvellous. Frost over the world. It really is nice. Sorry, you said. Well, she did use a lot of lipstick. Both the leading ladies on there, they never stop putting makeup on. They start rehearsing a scene, step out, reach in their bag, get out a mirror and start titivating. And I watched this a few times, and eventually I went into their handbags and I took their mirrors away, and but they kept, they had endless supplies of mirrors in their bag, and reaching down and getting, ladies, ladies.
Did you have a favourite of, I mean, who was the best Bond? I mean, present company accepted. Did you have a favourite among the other Bonds?
Well, Sean, obviously, because he was he created the character on screen, was the perfect Bond, and I think Daniel Craig today is the perfect Bond. His closest to Sean in that really tough delivery.
Yeah, and it's got a bit more violent too in the last James.
Yeah, the violence I don't like that much violence, but I think that's sort of they're keeping up with Bourne Identity, Jason Bourne, that sort of thing.
Man's inhumanity to man. You were speaking about your work as UNICEF ambassador, and you said that you'd seen scenes and heard about scenes and so on that just underlined for you man's inhumanity to man.
Yeah, man's bestiality. In fact, I don't think animals behave as badly as human beings can. It's quite frightening.
And what was the worst sight you've seen? Was it a refugee camp? Was it a hungry crowd? Or
I suppose the one that absolutely sort of, for want of a better word, gobsmacked me was seeing a girl with no legs and one arm, rocking in a bed, moaning, she was just balanced upright. And the doctor said this was in Salvador. And her sister had picked up a landmine disguised to look like a child's toy, obviously. And the sister was killed and she lost her limbs. Her parents were already dead. And she was, I suppose, 9, 10. The doctor said, we don't know whether she knows. She just moves and she moans, and that left me fairly. Already I knew going into that hospital what I would be seeing, because I smelt the same odour going to East Grinstead, to the Burns Hospital, with Mackindo's hospital, going to see children with bad burns. And there is a sickly smell roasting flesh, which is absolutely terrible. It clings, it's cloying. The next room I went into in this hospital were children with half their bodies burnt away. A lot of time from man's inhumanity to man, and also from man's ignorance, because they got close to fires. They were wearing the wrong clothes. A child in the same instant, they're dying of malnutrition, 3 months old, with feed tubes in its arm, bigger than its arm, and the doctor said, I don't think she'll last more than 48 hours. We can do all we can, but she came too late. Had they brought us 2 weeks ago, we could have saved her. It's absolutely terrible. So it's man's stupidity, man's inhumanity. And
really all you do for UNICEF is your way of feeling you can hopefully make a difference.
Well, hopefully make a difference in the sense that we go into the field, because I'm useless in the field. I just go there to witness and to be able to come back and talk sincerely and honestly about what I've seen. Going into the camps at Kosovo, at the time of the Kosovo crisis, and seeing the 1,000 refugees, and seeing what UNICEF does, seeing what all the aid agencies, non-government organisations do. It's my contribution is very little. I come back and I talk about it and I raise funds, because UNICEF is a branch of the United Nations, but it does not have financial support from the UN. It has to be supported entirely by voluntary contributions from governments and from corporations and from individuals.
Well, it's a great crusade you're on at the moment. Oh. We wish you well with it. And,
thank you.
It's a joy to talk about that whole range of topics. Thank you so much, Roger.
Thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Beam me up. It's the science of Star Trek. After the break.